Okay, just waiting for this to catch up. Here we are, stream health. Excellent. Okay, hey everyone, how is it going? Hope you're all well. I thought I would jump on, do another live, and yeah, just check in. I'm doing some retouching today, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to answer some frequently asked questions that I get. I've had a few questions recently on Instagram, very similar to what I get normally. I forgot to plug my microphone. That is all good now? Yeah, all good. Okay, so I've had some questions through Instagram recently, which are similar to some questions that I normally get. So I thought I would jump on and answer a few. And also if you've got any questions about any sort of photography related stuff, or, you know, where you're at in your career, maybe words of advice or wisdom or otherwise that I could give you guys, just pop that in the chat, pop that in the comments, and I will get to those. All good. All right, let me get my questions up here. Cool. So I thought a good thing to do whilst I am on this with you guys is just continue retouching, and I can chat away, and you can get a little bit of a sense for my retouching process. Otherwise, if you would be interested, I could do a little portfolio review of my own work, of my own website. Give you guys a little talk through that, why I structure things the way I structure and why I lay them out the way I lay them out. So let me know in the comments, in the chat, if that's something you're interested in, whilst I answer this first question, and then we will get onto that. Okay, all looks good on YouTube. Still getting used to my how to stream and use OBS and have all these monitors up, but also be comfortable enough to concentrate on what I'm doing here. So please forgive any latency, any lag or anything like that. But all is going well, and I've got my live chat up here and I've got my analytics here. So yes, thank you very much everyone for tuning in. Okay, so one question that I get asked quite a lot is, how did I start my freelance career? Was I employed somewhere before? And what made me go freelance, and how did I get into that? So bear with me one sec. And that gets asked a lot because a lot of people want to go freelance, and they probably believe that you know, well, freelance is sort of like the ultimate goal, or it's something that they want to explore at one stage or another. It's not for everyone, it's not for all creatives, it's not for all photographers. There's a whole world that goes into running your own little business. There's a whole load of difficulties and problems. It's not just being on shoots and sort of living the high life and such, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. So how did I go freelance? Well, I left, I'll go right back to the start. I left school, and at the end I stayed on the full length of school, didn't get any, what would you call them, higher grades or A levels, or, you know, I didn't get any grades basically, failed everything, and kind of wasn't even studying at a decent level. And I would like to think that's not because I'm an idiot, but it's just school wasn't for me. I left school, started working in Halford's bike shop and Millet's, an outdoor store, and was totally lost. And I thought, well, what do I enjoy? I enjoy art, I enjoy photography. Went to college, went to art school, and when I was in art school, I really got into basically taking photos of my mates riding bikes, and through that I learned how to use a camera basically. I bought a 350D, a Canon 350D a long time ago, and a Sony Handycam, and then eventually I sold the 350D and bought a 7D when that came out, around about the same time as the 5D and the 5D Mark II. And obviously that had video and great capabilities for video as well as stills. So I would start to film my mates in the skate park. I worked in the skate park, and just getting used to it, just trying things out every now and then on Facebook. Memories will pop up of terrible pictures that I've posted, and there's clearly something wrong, like the white balance will be different in every picture, and I'm not picking up, it's not registering at the time. Why is that really blue and the next one's really yellow? I just didn't have a handle on it. But working in the skate park and being at uni at the same time gave me the tools and the space to learn how to use a camera. I digress. I fast forward a little bit, and I was getting a bit more competent with the camera, and I was creating BMX edits. I would film my mates, I would film myself, and I would learn in iMovie and Final Cut and most of the time Premiere Pro on how to edit and how to stick videos together and all that sort of things. And through trial and error, I learned, audio related things and just how to make a little BMX edit. And from putting that online, a friend of my brother also rides mountain bikes, so a mountain biking friend of my brother's who also worked at a digital media company found my videos, and he wanted me to come in and basically be like an assistant editor. He would lump me with, say, 9 hours of footage and be like, make a sort of 8-minute edit, which is pretty much what making a YouTube video is like. If you film vlogs or anything like that, you'll be totally familiar with that. You've got a big lump of footage and you have to cut it down into something coherent. So that was my first job, and that really helped it kind of introduced me into the workplace. I was in an office, I was editing, and then eventually I was going out on jobs and sort of like filming the B-cam staff, or I would just kind of film test work, or what do they call it in video? They call it, not scamp work, but there's a word for it that escapes me, but basically tests, and I would kind of show it to the guys who worked in the office and be like, what do you guys think of this? And when the more creative briefs came in, they would get me on board to kind of film those. And I guess that was my first. That's how I started my freelance career. It was really just small steps, one into the next, and here we are. I've just kind of followed each step as it's come and moved along with it. And then so from studying in Aberdeen and working at the skate park and taking pictures of my BMX friends, I started to get involved with BMX brands, and that really helped me when I moved to London, because I was on a little retainers and stuff with 1 or 2 BMX brands. So it was a few £100 each a month, and I would, organise team trips and ads to run in the BMX magazines and stuff like that, and try and encourage them to post on Instagram and stuff. And if you've ever worked with athletes who are in, say, like the more extreme sports, BMX and skating, it's like herding cats. It's really hard to get them to do anything when they don't want to. So it was interesting. But yeah, that was kind of my first clients, and that's what gave me the encouragement to go freelance, which kind of goes on to the next question. How did you get your first client? Which kind of just answered there. And moving on from that a little bit, I guess my first commercial client would have been either Soccer Bible or Hypebeast, which are online platforms like culture, streetwear, footwear, football, soccer, that sort of thing. And to kind of get those guys to give me a job, basically, I would build up my portfolio. But what I'll actually do is I'll come back to that, because that ties in with another question later, which we will come back to. So bear with me there, and I'll get onto that. What's that question? Should you have a niche? Yes, I get asked that quite a lot, and that is something that I definitely wrestled with a lot, and I think every photographer does. It's almost like a rite of passage, figuring out, first of all, that you are interested in photography and pursuing it, and then getting the skills to confidently think, I could make a living out of this. How do you transfer that across to becoming a full-time photographer? How do you professionally do that? And do you need to specialize in one subject? So there's no right answer, essentially. Can you have a freelance photography career when you don't specialize in something? Absolutely. You can have food photography, location photography, and portraits, and have them all on your website. And so long as your photography is nice, you will get commissions that way, because that suits certain types of businesses, especially the leisure industry and stuff, where you might need to take photos of the staff and photos of the food in the restaurants as well as the facilities. So there's a fantastic opportunity there, especially if you get to a really high level. I know photographers who fly around the world doing that. They're flown out to different locations, they photograph the location, they do portraits of the staff, and they do nice lifestyle stuff. And that is a fantastic way of doing things. On the flip side, you wouldn't hire a food photographer to do a sports shoot. So if you're really passionate about a certain niche, if there's something that you really want to focus on, if all you want to do is shoot fashion, and the idea of getting commissioned to shoot a still life or food photography or interiors just doesn't do it for you, then absolutely your portfolio and everything should be angled at shooting fashion stuff. And that is a process. It takes time. It's definitely something that I've gone through. So when I first moved here, to continue the story of how I got here, after uni I moved to London and I started assisting in photography studios, and through the photography studios I met photographers and I started assisting them. The first few photographers that I met were fashion photographers, and I was assisting them, and to be honest, I remember returning from one of the first few jobs that I assisted on, and I thought, if this is what photography is, if this is what it's all about, then what the hell am I doing in London? I hate this, because my only previous experience was photographing BMX stuff, and that is a million miles away from the sort of stuff that I found myself on. I was very fortunate in that through meeting other assistants, I met other sports photographers, commercial and advertising sports photographers who were doing really well, and I got assisting them, and it really opened my eyes. I could finally see a clear link between the BMX stuff that I shoot and commercial sports stuff, and it blew my mind at the time, because we were shooting different athletes. We were shooting like the Red Bull drivers one week and footballers the next week, and I could see a correlation between where I was even at an early stage and where I could hopefully, and where I'd currently and always will chase that sort of level of advertising and commercial work. So when I saw that, I decided to really niche down, as they might say, and just go for it and just shoot sports stuff. And every now and then, until very recently, over the course of the last 10 years, every now and then something catches my eye and I think, you know what, I'm just going to shoot a little bit of fashion, or I'm just going to shoot sports stuff, something other than sport, and it distracts me for a little bit. I go off and I chase the shiny thing, and it always reminds me of like, no, stick to sport. It's what you're comfortable with, it's what you know, and being comfortable might not always be, it might sometimes be painted as a bad thing, but it's what you know, it's what you're good at, and I'm not tired of it yet, and it's something that I still want to pursue. So stick with that and try not to get distracted by the shiny things, and stick to your niche. So do you have to have a niche? No, you don't have to, but it depends on what clients you want to shoot for. It depends on where you want to get to and what type of photographer you want to be. And you only learn that through interacting with other photographers, researching other photographers' journeys, but most importantly, shooting your own stuff, trying and testing stuff, because believe me, I've shot still life stuff and I thought that was going to be it, and I've shot fashion stuff and I thought that was going to be it, and corporate headshots and weddings, and I've tried everything, but it always comes back to the sports stuff. So clear as mud, that one, but hope you kind of get something from that. Whew, okay, so the next one is a biggie, and I think a lot of photographers think about this one and wonder about this one. Suspenseful drink of water. What is the question? People often ask me about having an agent. I've had 2 agents in my fledgling career. Don't actually know what fledgling means. Young career. And the first one was really nice agent, but just didn't get me any work for a whole year, and didn't really help me with anything. And the agent had an agency which also doubled up in production, and they were just concentrating on the production stuff too much and not helping me at all. So that is one side of the coin, and it can be the complete opposite. In a dream scenario, you get an agent and they get you tons of work and you never need to chase or promote yourself ever again. But the reality is, there's sometimes a misconception that when you get an agent, you've made it, and that's it now. You're a rock star. You've got an agent. You're like the photography version of Tom Cruise or whatever, and you're just you're a name. You've got an agent. You've got that beside you, and you don't need to chase clients anymore, because your agent's going to do that, and they're going to come to you because they see that you are such a fantastic photographer. You are agency repped. But that is not the case. You still need to work super hard, as hard or harder at getting clients as you did. And the reality is that it's more a collaboration between you and your agent. Your agent is going to take some weight off your shoulders, but they are going to expect agency level photography, agency level work in every sense of the word. So whether that's how you conduct yourself pre and post shoot, your organisation, and obviously the final outcome, the images. So yeah, day to day, you still need to be doing all the promo and stuff. The plus side, the big plus side of having an agent is that chances are they know what they're doing as far as agents, as being an agent goes, and they have spent some time developing contacts, whether that is with other ad agencies or clients or stuff. So that contact, that relationship that they have is kind of like an in for you, because when you are not agency repped, in my experience, it's a little bit harder to get the attention of ad agencies for those big commercial contracts, those big commercial jobs for the big sports brands and stuff. When you don't have an agent, it does seem to be a little trickier, in my experience, getting your foot in the door that way. Another plus side of it is the legal staff, the paperwork. As most of you will know, or I'm sure a lot of you will know or understand, that when you're a freelancer, you have to wear so many hats. You have to do your primary work first, photography in this case, as well as your promo, your accounts. You have to learn, you have to learn accounting software. What tax bracket are you in? Do you need to be registered for VAT or limited company? All that stuff. Invoicing, usage rights, image rights. What's your day rate? What's it cost for your kit? Should you be adding this, that, and the other onto your invoice? How do you invoice? You still get. I speak to loads of people who are just starting out and they don't know how to invoice. So your agent kind of takes that off your shoulders. Although by the time you've got an agent, you should have a very good handle on how to do all of those things. But your agent does kind of alleviate the stress a little bit and take a little bit of the weight off your shoulders there, and they handle that sort of stuff. it also, for me, what's really good is that you don't have a direct relationship with the client with regards to finances. Quite often, there can be a lot of back and forth, and it needn't be uncomfortable, but pre-shoot there's obviously a bit of negotiation about rates, what can and can't be afforded, and for some reason it's always a difficult conversation, and you know, if there is a sticking point like day rate, usage, licensing, you can kind of create that divide where the agent and the client go off and speak about that, and you turn up on the day and it's all happy, and you know, you kind of, your agent will play bad cop for you and you're a good cop. So that for me is one of the big things about having an agent. That is one of the big plus points. For example, slightly speaking from experience, if a client has used an image out with the usage rights which they initially paid for, you can notify your agent of this and they will go and chase that for you. So that's one scenario where it's super helpful to have an agent. But it's not the be all and end all. It's yeah, it's a misconception, and people, yeah, they have a perception that an agency rep photographer has made it, but that is not always the case. I've got a little decaf here, it's 5 p.m. Yeah, it's not always the case, but people will kind of look at you and approach you differently. However, there's some super successful photographers there who have built all that agency stuff in-house, and the photographer is the pivot point, and their agent is solely employed by them, and they build little empires there. So that's a fantastic way of doing it, and I hope that kind of wraps that up for you guys. So that's 21 minutes I've kind of rambled on. Let's see if I've got any other commonly asked questions here. The agent thing, the niche thing. How did I get my client? How did you start your freelance career? I'm going to come back to that freelance one, because, and there was another point that I was going to come back to, but I forget. But I'm going to come back to that freelance one, because how did you start your freelance career? Because this is a scary one for a lot of people. I studied in Aberdeen, and I know a lot of people who graduated at the same time as me, who were, the fear got to them, and they wanted to make the jump. They wanted to go freelance, or they wanted to move down to London, but fear got to them, and at least that's how it seems. Everyone's on their own path and on their own journey, but for whatever reason, they didn't make the jump. People have this idea that you need to have a ton of money saved, and you need X, Y, Z amount of knowledge and contacts and stuff. But it's just not the case. When I moved down here, like, to my own admittance, I was sufficiently naive. Probably not sufficiently, but I was sufficiently naive to just do it, to just kind of wing it. Have a couple of months' rent saved, and surely within the first couple of months I can get a couple of clients. So that's what I did, and it was the same when I finished assisting to when I decided to fully shoot my own stuff. I saved up about 3 months' rent. I was getting clients, they were overlapping a little bit with the assisting work and the work for photographers and studios that I was doing, so I knew there was some work there, and yeah, I decided to have a little runway, as the trendy way of calling it. Have a little runway money, so if I got no work for 3 months, you know, worst case scenario, I get no work for 3 months, I can always go back to assisting, but have those 3 months saved up, and surely the odd thing will come in. And sure enough, first day of not assisting and going full-time freelance, I had some work come in, and it just kind of rolled on from there. Now, there is always, and there still is, times when it's a little quiet and you think, okay, but as things go on, you can kind of prepare yourself and get to know when those moments are coming, and not be so scared when it happens. That's the plan. anyway, I think that kind of answers all the questions. I just kind of went for it with the questions. We didn't even get into the retouching. See, I've got my little retouching thing up here. Got my questions. Got my scenes set up to do some retouching. This is some personal work that I've been working on recently and I need to get retouched. So I'm going to get back to that. Let me know in the comments if you've got any other further questions. I will always jump in. Thank you for watching. I hope this was kind of useful. Yeah, I do always get asked what my journey through photography is, how I sort of have managed to negate it and get to a point where I am full-time professional photographer, and hopefully that kind of gives you guys a little insight into how I did it and how you can do it. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments or chat. Daniel Livingston, excited to watch the process. Hey Daniel, yeah, we've been on the stream for a little while now. I've kind of gone through all the Q&As and stuff like that. Just realised I am not on full screen here. Boom. Yeah, so we ended up just doing a little Q&A on this live stream, Daniel. So if there is anything, you got about 30 seconds to get some questions in. And maybe I'll do some streams in the future to kind of show my process. I will be looking to do a lot more live streams, a lot more videos, a lot more Q&As, that sort of thing. Anything that I can help with. I'd love the YouTube channel to be a place of education for people who are looking to kind of make similar steps to what I've done to become freelance photographer. I always wanted to do vlogs and stuff when I was assisting, to kind of show the process, because yeah, when would that have been? 2015, 2016. I've always been into watching YouTube, but I could not find any photographers or assistants in London who vlogged or talked about the process or the industry or anything like that. There's definitely a few now. Let me know in the comments if you guys know of any other photographers who kind of work commercially or advertising, who have YouTube channels where they do stuff like this. I know there's a few, but maybe specifically in London, that would be really interesting. Every now and then I have a little YouTube search, but I can never find anyone. You know, apart from street photographers and stuff like that. So that is what kind of made me start a YouTube channel. Been a little inconsistent, but we're here. And as you can see from my recent uploads, I've been trying to upload a little more. So I hope you guys find that useful. Yeah, I'm always in the comments and stuff, so let me know any questions and I will answer them, or maybe I'll schedule another live stream and I'll schedule it this time rather than just jumping on randomly like I have done the last couple of times. Sorry I didn't get into any of the retouching, but there we are. I just ended up rambling on the questions, like I am now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will end the stream and I will see you on the... like, subscribe, share. Right. Ciao. Bye. Arrivederci. Adios. End it.